If you are planning to build a career as a .NET developer, this video will guide you step by step for essential skills, technologies and tools you need to learn. Let's start with the programming languages available with the .NET. In .NET ecosystem supports the VB.NET, C#.NET and F#.NET. Among of these, the most popular and widely used is C#.NET. So, if you are starting your career alone with C Sharp is more than enough. With C Sharp.NET programming language, you can able to build the applications or Windows and web applications. But as the world of technology changes, the companies are moving more towards the web applications instead of traditional desktop applications. So, focusing on web development with C Sharp will give you a better opportunities in the job market. Now, to become a web developer, there are some basic prerequisites you must learn first. What are all those are HTML for structures, CSS for design and styling, JavaScript for interactivity. Once you are comfortable with these three, you can start building the web application using the .NET web templates. In .NET, there are three different templates are available mostly, and those are all MVC and Razor and Blazor. Here, the good news is if you understand ASP.NET MVC or core, if you are already covered the foundation of other templates. That means by learning of ASP.NET MVC template, you can able to the code for other two templates later on. Once you develop the web application, whatever the data you are generating through this web application, you need to store into the database. So as a good starting point, the Microsoft SQL Server is widely used in .NET ecosystem to store the data. So learning Microsoft SQL Server will give you enough knowledge to handle the data storage, queries and transactions. Once you develop the application in your local, you need to maintain the application into the repositories because there might be chances of loss of the code in your local. So you need to manage the code, and also sometimes you might require to share with your colleagues whatever the code you have developed, so they can able to enhance the code with base of version you are sharing with your colleagues. So for that, the most popular repositories are Bitbucket, GitHub and Azure repos. Among of these three, the most popular code repository is GitHub. So GitHub helps you store the code and track the changes and collaborate with other developers. So once you commit your code into the code repository, you need to deploy the application into the after committing the code into the GitHub, you need to deploy the application. So you have the options that you can deploy the application into either on-premise environment or cloud environment. The modern companies are adopting the cloud platforms, and in the .NET world, the Microsoft Azure is the top choice. With GitHub integration, you can deploy your application into Azure services like Azure App Services, Azure Functions, or Azure Kubernetes, or Azure Container Services, etc. So, in summary, so when you want to become a .NET developer, you can learn the programming language is C#.NET, and you can start learning the building of web applications using the .NET MVC, and store the data you need to learn the Microsoft SQL Server, and you need to for code management you need to understand the commands, how you can push your code into the GitHub, and you can deploy the application into the Azure cloud environment. So this is the whole process when you want to become a full stack .NET developer. Thank you.